When we speak to different people, we code switch, meaning we speak differently to instructors or bosses at work than we do to our friends, family, and children, for example. When we write, we also code switch. We write and spell differently when we text family and friends than when we write business emails or papers for courses we're taking. If we take it a step farther, then we see that we must write differently for a creative writing assignment in an English class than if we are writing a research paper for a history course. Hopefully you'll benefit from the information about historical thinking skills as a foundation for writing research papers for history courses. Historical thinking skills include evaluating evidence, meaning being able to assess the reliability and usefulness of evidence from a variety of sources, including written documents, art, and artifacts. Analyzing sources, considering the author, purpose, audience, and format of a source. Comparing perspectives means being able to identify and evaluate multiple perspectives on an event. For example, if we have letters from soldiers in the Civil War, we would have to consider, were those soldiers fighting for the North or the South? That would change their perspective. Analyzing cause and effect means being able to identify and evaluate the relationships between causes and effects and how they interact. Understanding context means being able to analyze the context of historical events, including the time and culture. What was going on around the person who created the source at the time? Was it during wartime? Was it during peacetime? Was it during the Roaring '20s when things seemingly were going well? Was it a time of economic upheaval like in the Great Depression? Those things make a difference in how we view a particular source. Evaluating interpretations means being able to understand that interpretations can be biased and are, because we are humans and can't avoid at least some bias. It can be unintentional or intentional and can change with new evidence. Finally, thinking about the present, we have to consider how past events may impact the present. We also have to consider a concept called presentism, meaning that we have to always keep in our minds that we are viewing sources of the past through a 21st century lens. We can't remove that bias from ourselves because we are 21st century humans. So we are naturally going to look at an 18th century source in a different light. And we have to always allow for that. Continuity and change over time means that we have to determine what changed and what stayed the same over time between different eras or periods. We have to explain the reasons for that historical continuity and change also. Causation is the ability to identify, analyze, and evaluate causes and effects. You'll need to be able to describe the causes and effects of a historical event, development, or process, and also to explain the reasons for those causes and effects. You can also look at sources with chronological reasoning, which is a process that people can use. If you create a timeline for events, and if you write your paper in a chronological order, it makes the process of determining causes and events, it makes that much simpler. Interpretation and synthesis is the process of relying on secondary accounts from other historians about a past event or historical events to reach conclusions about what happened. You can then create a more in-depth understanding of the past if we use a combination of primary and secondary sources. Argumentation, which is ultimately what you'll do when you write your history paper, you'll develop questions about the past, and then you will research to find out what the conclusions are about a particular event or era. You'll create a thesis statement, much like a hypothesis, and then you'll compile evidence that either supports or denies that claim. Being able to create a unique argument is important in making innovative understandings about the past. I hope that this video gives you a place to start your research and a way to consider each source that you use when conducting your research.